Imagine waking up tomorrow. The supermarkets are empty. No farms, no refrigerators, no chicken, no beef, no packaged food, just forests stretching to the horizon. You haven't eaten in 2 days. Then, you hear it, a loud flutter above your head. A flock of wild birds circles through the trees. Food. At least, that's what it looks like. One good throw, one lucky shot, and your hunger could be over. Simple, right? But here's the strange part. For thousands of years, humans surrounded by wild birds often didn't rely on them as a main source of food. Not because birds were impossible to catch. Not because they weren't hungry. There was another reason. A reason hidden inside feathers. Invisible to the eye. A reason that could turn today's meal into tomorrow's disaster. So, if a hungry human could see hundreds of birds flying overhead, why weren't they simply eating them all? The answer begins with something most people never notice. Not the bird, but where the bird has been. Most people imagine survival as a simple equation. Find food, eat food, stay alive. But nature has never been that generous. A berry can look sweet and still poison you. Crystal clear water can hide invisible parasites. A calm river can pull you under. Wild birds belong to that same illusion. From the ground, they seem almost perfect. They're everywhere. They reproduce quickly. Many aren't much afraid of humans. Compared to chasing a deer for miles, a bird almost feels like free food until you realize something unsettling. Wild birds don't live the way farm chickens do. Every morning, they travel, not just across a forest, sometimes across entire countries, sometimes across continents. A bird you see today may have landed in a marsh hundreds of kilometers away only yesterday. Another might have spent the morning feeding beside polluted water. Another may have picked through the remains of a dead animal. Another may have shared a lake with thousands of other birds. And every place it visits, leaves something behind, or sends something with it. You can't see it. You can't smell it. The bird often doesn't even look sick. That's what makes the mystery so dangerous. Because survival isn't just about finding food. It's about choosing the food that won't quietly kill you later. Now imagine yourself living 20,000 years ago. No microscopes, no hospitals, no medicine. You don't know what bacteria are. You've never heard the word virus. You only know one thing. Some meals leave your family healthy. Others leave someone too weak to stand. You don't know why, but you remember. And memory becomes one of humanity's greatest survival tools. Generation after generation, people began noticing patterns. Some birds seemed safe when cooked well. Others were followed by illness often enough to make hunters cautious. No one could explain the invisible cause, but they didn't need to. Survival rewards those who notice patterns, not those who understand every detail. Yet disease wasn't the first obstacle. The first challenge was much simpler. Catching one, because birds have something almost every land animal lacks. The sky. A rabbit can run. A deer can sprint. A boar can charge. But eventually, gravity wins. Birds escape into a place humans can't follow. For early hunters, every failed attempt cost precious energy. Hours of stalking, a perfectly aimed spear, one sudden flap of wings, and dinner vanished into the clouds. The calories spent chasing the bird could easily exceed the calories the bird would provide. And in the wild, that is a terrible bargain, because hunger isn't measured by effort. It's measured by energy. Spend more energy than you gain, and every hunt brings you closer to starvation. So humans adapted. Instead of chasing every bird they saw, they watched. They learned routines. Where birds landed, where they nested. When they became careless, they used traps, nets, decoys, patience instead of speed. But even when a bird was finally caught, another mystery remained. How could you know whether this bird was a gift from nature or a hidden gamble? Because unlike a rotten fruit, a dangerous bird rarely announces the danger. No extraño color, no warning smell, no obvious sign. Sometimes the healthiest-looking bird carried the greatest risk, and that invisible threat would shape the way humans hunted for thousands of years. But it wasn't only disease. There was another problem, one even older, one that had nothing to do with germs, and everything to do with survival itself. Because the hardest part wasn't eating a bird. It was deciding whether it was worth catching at all.